maybe a real quick recap again, like rapid fire,
And we're
just to
live.
pick up. Yeah. All right, and we are here again for. I think this is going to be 171 of Trek Live, part 2 of our season 4 Star Trek fantasy episode draft. Joined again by Jenn and Caleb. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you.
We are going to jump right back into it. We're going to do rounds 6 through 10. We've rounds 1 through 5 are in the previous video, so we encourage everybody to check that out. Intros for Caleb and Jenn are there as well. So real quick, we're going to do, for the purposes of this video, a quick recap of what each of us has done so far in the first 5 rounds, and then we're going to jump right into round 6. So Jenn, if you would, what are your 5 episodes that you're kind of carrying into round 6 with at this point?
All right. I got an all-star lineup going here.
Yep.
Sure do.
So far, I have The Way of the Warrior, The Visitor, Demons and Terror Prime, Our Man Bashir, and The Killing Game.
Nice. Picks.
Love it.
Awesome. What about you, Caleb?
All right, I've got Voyager, Year of Hell. I've got the Vulcan trilogy from Enterprise. I've got TNG's Reunion, DS9's Little Green Men, and back to Enterprise for Intermere Darkly.
Your list is not too shabby yourself.
That's pretty good.
Gotta say. What about you, Dan?
For
What do you
me,
have?
I am TNG and Deep Space Nine heavy, so in these later rounds, I'm looking to maybe get some variety here. But for me, I started with my first round pick was Best of Both Worlds. Then I went to the Drumhead, following up with Homefront and Paradise Lost. Then going to Hard Time and Starship Down. So, yes.
I like your list a little less because you swiped at least 2 of mine.
Yeah.
But all great episodes,
Yes,
for sure.
exactly.
I had Scorpion, Living Witness, Family, Observer Effect, and First Contact, the episode from The Next Generation. And with that, I think we're just going to dive right into round 6. Keep it rolling. You're on the clock, Jenn.
All right. I'm rolling right into a favorite Space Nine episode. I am claiming Rejoin.
Nice.
I mean,
So good.
just standalone love story. Just it's heart-wrenching. It's somehow infinitely relatable, even though we're dealing with this weird alien stuff. Just
Yeah.
the love that can't happen, and and you can feel both their pain, in all the scenes, and that the acting's fabulous, and it's just a wonderful standalone love story, and I'm glad I have it on my list.
That's a great pick. I love that they tackle like this kind of is a better, I think, backstory kind of exploration of the Trill, kind of, because I feel like we've all had that question of like, well, what if somehow they meet other past, it's like one of those things that we always think about. So, and I'm really glad that they kind of tackle that. So
Yeah, I think the like what's more dramatic and more well kind of mined dramatic territory than Forbidden Love. Like that's like you were saying, that's so relatable and so like just a storytelling avenue that I think we're all really comfortable with exploring, and I think this episode does a great job with it, and I think it pays off really nicely with Equilibrium from season 3 more so, I think, for the connection to Discovery's 3rd season. But there's even some stuff here with, that I think adds context to some of the things we see later on in Discovery and may not have even seen yet. Stuff to come on that show.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love Jadzia Dax, probably one of my favorite characters on DS9. But a lot of Dax episodes are not always the best, just from like I guess the setup. But this one, is a knockout. It's definitely one of the better Dax episodes.
Totally agree.
Yep.
All right, what do you got, Caleb?
Okay, so I kind of have a theme, I think, with some of my picks, and think you're probably going to be upset, Bill. If I caught the tease from one of our previous rounds, I'm going with DS9 to the death.
Nice.
Okay.
And actually, while I was eating dinner tonight, I threw this one on, and Katie says hi. She thinks it's good. Sorry.
Katie knows.
I threw this one on, and so I watched the first half of it, and I mean, the same kind of shock in the cold open that you get from the Jem'Hadar, or not from. I mean, that wasn't the cold open, but like they take down a Galaxy class ship in the Jem'Hadar, and then you have this cold open. You just see like half of a pylon completely just blown off of Deep Space Nine, and then eventually you get the introduction of Weyoun, which I mean I love Jeffrey Combs. I mean we've seen him time and time again in these really really good roles, and that's I think that's the strong suit, is to really have the introduction of that rich character or characters plural depending how you view the individual Weyouns, but it's a big for me.
I think it's an all-timer cold open for sure. I think
for sure
the balls to the wall, like just crazy intensity in that cold open is really memorable. And Weyoun introduction, everything you said, I totally agree with. I think it's a great one.
I love the connection also to the Iconian Gateway.
Yeah.
They revisit that, and there's a set of like 8 or 9 books, I think, that are that take place within a month or two of the series finale of Deep Space Nine, and they do eventually revisit the Iconian Gateways. So it's cool. For me as a book fan, I like this episode for that reason too.
And it really, the team up with the Starfleet and the Jem'Hadar, and it should, when episodes, in other shows when that happens, that would like humanize the bad guys, and it kind of does the opposite here. It shows them how oppressed, I guess, they are, by the changelings, and it makes them, but it doesn't make them. I mean, I guess it makes them sympathetic, but not because of anything they do, just because of the situation that they're in. But they're still like they're very much, I'm gonna kill this guy for his, what I mean? This and this. There's no, whatever he said. There's no sex. There's no eating. There's no, we don't need to eat whatever it is. We only live for 8 years, or there's all these nice little touches of things that we learn about the Jem'Hadar and how they're I mean victims of the changelings themselves, but they're also, I mean the guy vaporizes Weyoun. I mean I guess you could say that. Are the Vorta then? You wonder. Vorta at this point then, like, are they also victims? They're a completely different style of victim, I guess, but it's just fascinating. It makes the Dominion all that more fascinating. It's just a fun team up too, once they get on the planet, and it's just, and Cisco, he's like, oh, you saved my life, and though I threatened to kill you, and that's what Starfleet does, and this is what the Jem'Hadar does. It's a great pick.
Yeah, good pick. I think it sets the tone for just the relationship between the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar. Like it's so not just their relationship, but those two with Starfleet. I think it's just all good stuff.
Yeah. And you're sad one way who dies. Because you don't know at this point he's
gonna come back.
Yeah. I wish he would die. And then they agree. Yeah, we'll make them clones. Bring them back, which I love. I love that.
It was a great choice. Definitely, I would say it's like a series saving thing, but it really adds. I mean, the fact that they could keep bringing Jeffrey Combs back as Weyoun really adds so much to those later seasons. So thank goodness they came up with that.
All a little bit differently.
Yeah.
He's so brilliant.
Yeah. He's amazing.
He really is.
All right, what do you got, Dan?
All right. In the interest of maybe trying to get some variety here, I'm going to go with a Voyager episode that maybe might shock some people, might not. I'm going to go with one I think looking at my list, there's kind of a theme here of paranoia. So I'm gonna go with 1. It's the one where, well, kind of pun intended. The crew has to go kind of in stasis, and 7 has to kind of run the ship. But one of my favorite things about it is the progression through the season, right? Like, we start at Scorpion. She's on the show, or on the ship, and she's kind of becoming part of this crew. And by the end of the season, they're entrusting her with the ship. So I just again, combining that with my combination of kind of paranoia and things like that, I'm going with 1.
Well, I would not have guessed that at all. I think that's a really cool choice, though. 1, I think, really does take really nice advantage of the character traits of 7 of 9. Like, what do you hear her talk about a lot in those early episodes when she's removed from the collective, like not hearing the voices, the having to deal with the solitude of being removed from the collective. And this is an episode that like really forces her even further down that path of embracing her individuality and having to do things herself. And I think it's an important 7 of 9 episode for sure.
Yeah, and Dan, that's a really good point about this being like only a season. Only, you know, it hasn't even.
Yeah.
They met her in Scorpion, and just how far she's come as a character, and how far Janeway has come in trusting her, and you know, and the dilemma she has is an interesting one for her at this moment in her character development. You know, the logical thing to do would be to let these people die, you know, and the fact that she makes a different decision, you know, it's just a really interesting. It leads into the season finale really nicely. The hope and fear, where, you know, with her and Janeway, you know, deciding what, you know, but what they actually want to do with their relationship.
But she's still struggling with being that one voice in her head. And so it's especially when she gets the keys to the ship and she's got to make this decision where if she was in the Borg collective, the decision would have been made for her. So I think that's why I really like this episode. So
yeah, and this is a claustrophobic episode too. I mean that in a good way. Like it's the same thing. This would be a scary situation if you didn't have that Borg, you know, that fear of not having the voices in your head. If I was the only person on the starship, I'd flip out a little bit too. You know? I'd be seeing things that would, you know, turn around at every little. And they do a good job of making, you know, feel small like that. So yeah, it's an unexpected dark horse pick. I think it's a good one.
I always confused this with Drone because that's the other one.
It's like 3 episodes away. So
I remember this one a little bit, but I think all the points you have made so far line up with what I remember. So yeah, it's a good one. Like you said, it is a little dark, but it's great to it's a good bookend for 7 for where we started the season. So.
Oh yeah.
Jen, have you done 1 and Doctor's Orders?
We did.
You did. I thought so. I was pretty sure.
Very similar
I
type
literally
episodes.
like just about to look.
It's literally the same episode. Some of our comparisons are a little bit more subtle, but that one straight up is the same, but with Phlox instead of 7. And it's fun. He also has the similar problem alone. You know, and even because the Denobulans, even in their marriages, have you know, 4 people or whatever. So, so there's some really interesting parallels with 2 episodes.
Yes, agreed. For me, the fact that there's no blue under the Deep Space Nine column is driving me crazy. So I'm gonna fix that right now, and I'm gonna go with the Quickening, which is an episode that I really love. Another one that is not kind of similar to some of the other episodes that have been picked today. Hard Time stands out like this. It's again not one to like bowl of popcorn, cold beer on a Friday night. Nah, not exactly that vibe. But it's another one that I think, kind of like our man Bashir, I think really does some interesting things with Bashir's character. It explores his his growth and continued battling against some of his arrogance, like the extreme intelligence that he's gifted with, and for a number of reasons, I guess, unknown at this point. But some of the personality quirks that are brought on by some of those traits, are a continued challenge in some of these adventures, and the especially in these times, the Quickening is definitely not a pleasant watch. Watching a society deal with a pandemic, really, yeah, that is just out of control and that they have no answers for, and euthanasia, and it's a grim, miserable episode. But but I think it's got some heavyweight stuff in it, and it's not. I don't find it gratuitous. If I remember correctly, I've had some back and forth with, including on Trek Live, with Jim Morehouse of Trek Ranks. He has this pretty low on his ranks, and he might disagree with what I'm about to say. That I don't find it like gratuitous or like misery porn or anything like that. I think it's more nuanced than that. So definitely a challenging watch, but I think it's a rewarding one for both the Bashir character development stuff as well as the ethical, moral, big science fiction, Star Trek-y kinds of things that this episode accomplishes.
I find it very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
Even more so now, obviously. Just virus things are just harder for me to watch now.
Sure.
But that's a now problem, not when they made this. But the one thing I noticed, I rewatched. I had forgotten that this disease was a punishment from the Dominion for not obeying, not joining the Dominion or whatever, and that adds another level of hard
to the
awfulness and horror to it. Yeah. But I think it's very important for Bashir to have this moment to realize that he's not perfect. Like he couldn't find a cure. He's not just always gonna win, and right. He did an important thing, and but he couldn't cure it, and he definitely thought that he could.
He thought he could.
He thought he was gonna walk in there with his and mix up a little vaccine or whatever, and
right.
and it's very important for him to have this episode where he couldn't do that for his character. So
yeah, I think kind of like the Drumhead and even definitely Homefront and Paradise Lost, like examining them post 9/11 as opposed to pre 9/11. It's gonna be interesting to see how the Quickening kind of evolves in the way people think about it, as we kind of hopefully get on the other side of the pandemic situation. I love the fact that, like you said, he can't cure it, but he can find a vaccine. Yeah. This gives hope.
For me, what I love most about this episode is that oftentimes we see our crew or the person who's kind of the main focus in the episode just come to the conclusion really quickly and very easily. And in this episode, I think Bashir actually struggles, and I like that because, for me, the Bashir character, his whole life has been a breeze, and it's nice to see him struggle, but him also have some compassion as well, to be able to, because I don't know if you guys remember, but he sends the runabout back. He's gonna stay there just by himself, and so I think. It's a testament to the Bashir character. I think there's some growth there. Yes, there is some arrogance in kind of the beginning, but that's kind of his character. But his steadfast compassion to even no matter whatever it takes. That's what I really like about this episode. So,
great. Any thoughts, Caleb? Recollections of?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dust off some cobwebs on this one. But I just going back to just how good season 4 is, I think, for Bashir. I mean, we've got a couple of other episodes at the beginning of the season that starts him off strong, and they carry that through to the end and sets him up for some great stuff in season 5. So good. It's I definitely need to give it a rewatch.
Yeah, I like the fact that you don't have strong recollections of all these episodes, because the ones that do, I think, are telling. Now that you're getting into the nitty gritty and having to maybe rely even more on memory, that to me is an invaluable different perspective on which episodes really
stand out,
are prominent in your recollections. So I'm very eager to see what you have for the rest.
Mm-hmm.
So round 7, what do you got, Jen?
All right, headed back to Voyager for this one, and I am picking Scientific Method.
Nice.
Which is just a fun little standalone, high concept sci-fi, really interesting idea, executed well, morbid. There's some very, very grotesque imagery.
Yes.
In this one, which and it's another one. I mean, we Seven's character development from Scorpion to Hope and Fear, and this is another one here where they couldn't have done this. They couldn't have figured this out without her, which I thought was cool. Like she was cool. You know, she's 7, so she's cool. She's calm, collected, even though all of a sudden now she gets crazy, out of phase aliens do inhumane, crazy experiments on the. And the image that sticks in my head is she looks at Captain Janeway, and there's an alien on either side of her, and they're literally screwing screws into her head, and it's an image that sticks with me, and I think kind of the resolution is a very Janeway ending when Janeway just like even though she was influenced by their, but also she was like, F it, flying into the pulsar. I've had enough of this nonsense. It's just a Janeway solution, and it's just a fun hour of television. I like it.
I totally echo that image being stuck in my head as well. Every time I have a bad headache, that's the first thing that's like locked into my head. Like, really, that's not happening. I think this one's grown on me a lot over the years.
This one, being a science teacher, of course, the scientific method. If you want, actually, I was going to pick this round, I think, if you hadn't picked it. So I actually think it's interesting that both scientific method and observer are effective, and how they both kind of have some similarities in the antagonists here.
That's a good point, and how they differ from our, morals and ethics in performing experiments, and how we would never, not intervene, get diseases, never just involuntarily run experiments on sentient creatures, and it's an interesting perspective. Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. Archer and Janeway are both appalled.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, the endings of both of them are just F you.
Advil.
It's not happening.
I always think of the headgear, just imagery, and I just get so creeped out. I mentioned the Halloween thing. That anytime I get creeped out when I see the headgear and things. I think that was kind of a fun kind of production element.
Yeah, the department did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
They're all really weird. Like some of them come like down front, some of them go around. Like what are they testing? Like what? What is
nothing good?
Yeah, nothing good.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you think, Caleb? Round 7.
All right. I'm going to TNG, but I don't know what yet. Give me a second.
Hey, you got plenty of time.
I'm split. I might just need to flip a coin. I'm going to go with The Wounded.
Nice.
Ooh, it's a great episode.
Yeah, I just watched this one recently, actually, and one notable for, Gul Messet, who is just Caldecott with but what really stuck out to me was actually the bond that Miles has with Maxwell in this episode. And, we've already talked, hard time. Like, the war put, O'Brien through absolute hell. And to have that kind of bond and want to support and back up Maxwell when he's completely off the rails. This was like pretty powerful stuff. And at the end, just regarding the Cardassians and potentially having what was it, arms hidden on one of their ships or something. And Picard calls the bluff, but he's caught in this political position where he really can't turn the tables on the Cardassians, but he lets them know, if this happens next time, it's not going to have the same response. You guys are going to get screwed. This is going to be war.
Right.
You're towing with,
So good.
a dangerous line here. And then we see that come to fruition, just a couple seasons later on in DS9. And it's a good, precursor to all of that.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's a great one. It's one of my favorites from that season of TNG and TNG in general. I think that O'Brien line, "I don't hate you, Cardassian. I hate what I became because of you," is
so good.
really good stuff. Great episode of Star Trek.
Very well written.
Yeah.
Definitely a tough topic to kind of tackle, but yeah, so good.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you picked this. I'm surprised this lasted so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wounded. That's a great hour of Trek, and them singing the song.
Oh, it's so good.
Which is, what a moment that is.
Yeah.
These warriors that have been through this horrible, tragic battle, and learning the backstory of why that song's important to O'Brien, that his
So good.
comrade, his friend who died, and would sing that song, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's a wonderful moment, and that it's a great episode.
It really is.
And for O'Brien to be nameless through the first several episodes of TNG anyway, and now we're in the middle of season 4, and he has this big of an episode, it really gives weight to the character, and that's the O'Brien we come to know and love later on in DS9, and that's the starting point there.
It really is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great one. You got incredible value there in the 7th round. It's somehow hidden away over there.
Tom Brady in the 7th round.
Somehow missed it.
Was he drafted in the 7th round? I don't know.
What do you got, Dan?
So I'm going to stick with another Voyager pick. I'm gonna go with Day of Honor.
Ooh. I like that one.
Again, there's some cool production elements. We get to see I believe the core ejected from Voyager, which is some cool ship porn stuff that I really love to see, especially that's really unique. I don't know if we've ever seen the whole core ejected like that. But also, back to the Seven of Nine stuff. This alien wants things, and they want her, I think, and the crew is already willing to nah, you can't. Sorry, they're already willing to defend her they're her own. They're part of the crew. She's part of the crew already. So I really love that too. That's just kind of a testament to this crew and how tight knit they are. And then obviously the cheeseball in me cannot leave this on the board with the stuff at the end with Tom and B'Elanna. Obviously this is kind of the culmination of a few episodes of hinting they want they stuff. So all around good hour for me. I think it was good value for me. I love this. I like this episode. So
the production stuff in that always blows me away. I think the spacewalk visual effects really hold up pretty incredibly well, given sometimes the inconsistency of how well that CG kinds of CG heavy episodes from that time sometimes fare better than others, and I think that one really is pretty darn good. Works on a lot of levels. I totally agree. I think that the payoff for the Tom and B'Elanna slow burn, dating back into, I think around the midway point in season 3, they start kind of really slow walking.
Laying the groundwork, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, love it. It's a great episode and something I would have considered picking pretty soon here.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I mean, anytime you eject a warp core, like that's it's worth
that's
picking
cool.
it just for that.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But with the Seven stuff too, like you said, Seven says is like they want me, and Janeway's like, no, like
No.
we're not,
Sorry.
So she learned something from that, but she also at the end she learned that it's okay to. I think she had some kind of technology that they ended up they could use, and they were happy, and she but I think she said something like, oh well, Borg don't ever give up information. We assimilate, but we don't give it up. And she learned that like that Starfleet thing, that it's okay to share your knowledge, it's okay to give that up, and if she originally and I think those are two big lessons for Seven in this episode,
Yeah.
And so it's important, and it's also, fun and great ship stuff, and B'Elanna admitting she loves Tom
So good.
like for her it's like really, really hard. It took 5 seconds away from death to do it.
So dramatic, but so awesome.
So dramatic.
Of all the relationships in Voyager, I think Tom and B'Elanna is my favorite. I know people are always, on the Janeway Chakotay train, but I never
never got on board with that.
Not for me, no. But Tom and B'Elanna, yeah, that's a strong one.
Yeah, I love the slow burn and the commitment to the ups and downs of that relationship. The way that they play that is, I think, really, really strong. And that back half of Voyager, especially season 4 on, it's one of the strengths of the show, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. The way they play the ups and downs, because they're not my because their relationship's pretty realistic.
Yeah,
So that's fun for me.
The roller coaster.
Yeah.
I simultaneously think that they both could do better. What I mean? Which is just a weird. I don't know how else to put it. But you're right about it. Them showing ups and downs and what a real quote unquote relationship is, and I would have liked to have seen them trying to navigate being new parents too, which would have been a lot of fun. But
Agreed.
yeah, but this is an important episode for that ship.
Agreed. I need to lighten the load a little bit after the quickening on my board.
Oh yeah,
so
time.
I'm going. Yeah, I gotta do a little yin to that yang. There are other episodes that I think I might be more drawn to, but I'm gonna go with Message in a Bottle from Voyager, which I think is one of my favorite.
My pick.
Yeah, it's nice to actually do that to somebody else. For sure.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite, kind of right along with Little Green Men, to me, like those two and Our Man Bashir, like those are the really strong comedies that I'm looking at here. At least come right to mind. Really groundbreaking episode for the show too. It's the first, it's a game changer. Like that there is some degree of contact with the Alpha Quadrant. The Alpha Quadrant knows they're out there. They know they get to start opening that door to I think it changes the entire sort of angle of the show a little bit. That there is a connective potential there between the Alpha Quadrant and Voyager. It's a really good comedy with Robert Picardo. Prometheus is badass, really cool.
Yeah.
Cool ship stuff. Andy Dick, I think, is like note perfect as in a really tough role. I think like that could have been, and maybe he is too much for some people. And even for me, I think like his brand of comedy, and even in this episode, could have really been not my cup of tea very easily, but it works in this episode. I think the way he plays off of Picardo makes it work. I love it. I think it's really funny. I think underrated, really funny moment for me that I laugh at every single time is Seven sending the feedback through the network to knock out the corrosion guy
Yeah.
talking. For some reason, that just makes me laugh hysterically every
Yeah,
time.
so
The way the
funny.
crew reacts to Seven doing that.
Yeah.
Like, you killed him?
Yeah.
It's a mild shock. You will recover.
Yeah.
It's always made me laugh.
Her line is so good.
It's a really successful comedy for me.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot too. I think, I mean, Bill, you already mentioned just the small like technology component where they now can communicate back and forth, but even on just a technological progression, just the fact that they're on a Mark II EMH already, and it's been what, 4 years since they've been, stranded, because I guess Mark I wasn't made all that long prior, so they're really flying through different versions of the EMH, and the doctor just feeling almost obsolete at that point. I mean, obviously, he is very pliable and has quite a lot of development for a non-human. But even just having that foil with Andy Dick's character, I think is great.
Yeah, the comedy on this one really lands with me, and I love the Prometheus stuff too. Super cool. But the best part for me is after 3.5 seasons of things that didn't pan out, like possibilities, like, oh, maybe this time, and then at the very end, and this time it's like, okay, I'll try to send you, and you can send a message. He comes back at the end, and the look on his face, he says to Janeway, "I did it." And it's just that payoff after 3.5 years of false starts of trying to get something to happen to get them closer to home in any small way. And he says, "I did it." And the look on Janeway's face, it's just, what a payoff. And I'm glad they did it with it. I'm a comedy episode for him in the Alpha Quadrant. It would have been too stressful otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they struck just the right tone there. And then at the end, and that's a game changer.
Yeah.
They got it. The Alpha. It might not get them home any quicker at this point. They don't know, but now they know that back home knows about
it gives them hope.
Gives them hope.
Gives them hope, and it changes it just changes the whole dynamic of their journey. That now absolutely. They know, at least they know they're alive.
Yeah.
They're that, and feeling a little more connected and a little closer.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I think it's cool. Even the sci-fi concept that Voyager's known for kind of comes through too. Like, we're gonna send the Doctor 100 light years away. Like, that's so cool. It's such a even in kind of identified as a comedy. Like, this still Voyager's high sci-fi concept kind of comes through. So I love it.
Good point. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, round 8, coming down the home stretch.
All right,
what do you guys got?
I don't have any TNG on my list, which is ridiculous. I can't stand. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm going to take Remember Me.
Oh,
man, I was gonna do it too.
Sorry.
I love Remember Me.
No, that was gonna be my pick this round. I was split.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm surprised it lasted this long. It's Beverly Crusher's finest
I think so.
hour as far as I'm concerned. What an interesting sci-fi conceit. And before you know it's a sci-fi conceit, again, I keep using the word claustrophobic, but the claustrophobic mystery of what's happening before you know, is really interesting, the way they and it's hard to maintain interest when there's really just one character you're following, and they somehow manage to keep it up the whole hour. Keep that, which is hard to do, and I love it. So my TNG entry.
It's a great one. I still think maybe it's not me, maybe it's the universe when I'm having a bad day.
Yes. There's something wrong with me.
Sticks with
Something wrong
line.
with universe. It's a great line.
When I was trying to make my pick between The Wounded, it was between The Wounded and Remember Me. So for that last round, that was the tough cut, because it is that good. It almost has like a horror vibe to it, and I love horror. It's like going down the rabbit hole, and it's like am I crazy? Like, what is actually happening here? And then I also just like the solution behind it, as simple as it is.
Yeah.
Turns out to be the static warp bubble, right? And
Yeah.
darn it, Wesley, you and your projects always messing things up.
It is another West project, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
No more science projects, Wesley.
Right. Well, it's probably
That's
one
good.
of the last major projects
Yeah.
we get
Yeah,
from him,
that's true.
right? Because he's on his way out soon.
He is. And sometimes I think that the simplest resolution is the way to go. I think sometimes the trouble they get into is the overly
Overthinking
complicated
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
tech, the tech, and we're out. Like this is like straightforward and easy and makes perfect sense, and it works for the story. Yeah, I really like Remember Me a lot. What do you got, Dan?
So my next pick is going to be.
Oh wait! Hold on! I keep skipping Caleb. Hold on.
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know why.
I don't know how that
keep
keeps
doing
happening.
Sorry, Caleb. Go for it.
All right. I have a couple on my radar. And I might actually throw one out that I wasn't planning on picking, but I just saw the title and it's jumping out at me. I'm going to go with TNG Final Mission.
Okay.
Ooh.
And it's just like we were talking about, Wesley's on his way out, and you get these really strong moments with him and Picard, and Picard's injured, and Picard's finally coming clean, like recognizing how important that relationship was to him, and I think that's the strong suit of the episode. It is a slow burn. There's a lot that I didn't really like about it, but
Sure.
That aspect really hit home for me, and that resonated. And to see Picard finally acknowledge that, I think was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Bill.
Dan. Sorry. No, you be first.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say that line of Picard, you're just at the beginning of the adventure, is really, really nice, and that's the thing. When I think of Final Mission, that's always what comes to mind, and it's really great, and yeah, I'm glad it got picked. Good call.
Yeah, good pick.
Yeah, I agree. That's that part. I envy you. And
Yeah, I envy you. Yeah, it's so good.
yeah, it's such a father-son moment.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. It's important for Wesley too. The part that always sticks in my mind is when the hothead guy wants to just blow a phaser at it, and Wesley wants to do the Starfleet thing and test, and obviously it doesn't go well for that guy.
No.
That always sticks with me because that's an important growing up thing, learning not to just rush in, and maybe doing things the right way is important, and it's I think that's a growing up moment for him, seeing that happen and why it happened too.
Yeah, and I don't think they do very much of what they do here with Wesley. Like, he's not put in very many of these kinds of really tense, stressful situations. Like, a lot of the time, the stories around him center around kind of like Remember Me. Like, he's got stuff to do because he's doing a science project.
Right.
He gets entangled, and like a lot of the stories kind of go down that road, as opposed to he has to take care of Picard. Like, he's right there with Picard, and the shoe gets put on the other foot, and he has to kind of take the lead on a really stressful, tense away mission. And he has to speak for Picard in a lot of ways with that hothead alien captain. So I think it finally does give Wesley some interesting things to do that he was kind of lacking.
Out of his comfort zone. Yeah,
it takes him out of his comfort zone. Great call. Yeah. Cool. Now you're up, Dan.
Now it's my turn. For my next pick, I know I keep coming back to it, but I think this is just a testament to this season. Going back to Deep Space Nine, I'm a really big fan of season 4, but I'm also a really big fan of this run. And we kind of talked about it on previous Trek Live episodes, but I'm going with Hippocratic Oath. And I think people sleep on this episode because it's around such good episodes. Obviously, the episode before it, or the 2 episodes before it, are all-time classics. But I think people sleep on Hippocratic Oath because of that. But it's such an important episode for the Julian and Miles kind of bromance. It puts those characters in such a moral dilemma that I think it's very interesting to explore, and the way they choose to kind of what actions they take kind of reflects on their character, and with O'Brien being more of a soldier and things like that, and Bashir being more of a healer, and no matter whatever alien or whatever, we're meant to heal and things like that. So yeah, it's really good. The last 2 minutes or whatever, they're in the shuttle pod, or they're in the runabout, and it's so good. It might be the last 30 seconds of the episode. It is so good. I think it's beautifully well written. It's the silence, they let it breathe. It's just very well acted as well. It's just so good.
It's like one of them says Quarks tonight, and the other one says maybe not tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah,
really good, like subtle. Just like you said, quiet way to play that.
Yeah.
Cap to the conflict. I just love that it puts the 2 characters in positions where they see, like you said, Bashir sees a medical solution to the problem, O'Brien sees a combat solution to the problem,
and they're
which are perfectly in tune with their background, and they are in conflict,
Yeah.
and they cannot happen at the same time. Like, they can only have one path, and I think it does a best job expanding on that relationship.
Yeah, at that point in the show, they're pretty tight. Like the relationship has gone through its bumps in the road, and I think they're pretty tight for sure.
And it's another one when Julian thinks he can easily solve the medical problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a different challenge than he initially thought it was.
But again, I know it's so hard to judge him, but it's also like he's semi fresh out of the academy, right? He's 4 years out, right? He wanted this assignment where it's but I also get it. He was being kind of arrogant here.
Yeah, but also he can back it up too.
Oh yeah,
like most of the time he can back up his arrogance. You know, so I'm kind of okay with it that way. You know, feel like he should be confident in his abilities. You know, especially that's another reason the is so effective of the him being genetically engineered retcon, because you know he has the he has the confidence of a man who can do these extraordinary, superhuman things, so it fits.
Yeah, agreed.
Just also broader context, it's cool to get this whole Ketracel White, introduction here.
Big important.
Yeah,
it's a big important piece to a lot of seasons 5 and 6, right? And just the whole. I forget which episode when they tried to make the run on the white supply, but yeah, I mean it all starts here.
Yeah, great call. I'm gonna go with an Enterprise 3-parter. I'm gonna go with Babel 1, United, and the Enar. That's a really important piece of Enterprise. It's really easy to kind of define for me. You have the Brent Spiner Augment arc and the Vulcan arc, and then the Babel 1. What do you even call that? You got Romulans, you got Andorians, you got Tellarites. It's
everything.
It's drone ships. There's so much that's kind of going on here. But the sort of point along the way in these 3 episodes that really stands out is those last few minutes of United with the humans, the Vulcans, the Andorians, the Tellarites in
Federation,
that observation lounge on the Enterprise.
Yeah,
kind of taking the very, very first baby steps toward working together through a problem, and the Romulan plan kind of backfiring. Their plan is to create dissension and divide them, and it does the exact opposite. And of course, it's very heavy Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs probably is maybe his most compact, active point along the way. Like he's so active in Deep Space Nine at various points, but this is 3 episodes where he's so integral to the story and has so much to do. His fight with Archer in United is freaking awesome. That like duel to the death, and they have to find an innovative way to do it without killing anybody. Just a really strong run of episodes. I'm a little less high on the Enar than the other two, but which is why I think I waited, and it's going in the 8th round and maybe not 4th or something like that.
Yeah.
But even that one's got some high points. Seeing Andoria and a lot more Jeffrey Combs again is there's positive traits there. I think it's maybe just a little less hot than the other two, but still a really good run of 3 episodes.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've always been a fan of the whole animatronic antenna that man has had, and then to see him lose one is it's definitely a jarring thing, especially when they cut to commercial right there. Bring the act down. How could you do that to me? It's pretty twisted.
It is pretty twisted.
I had this one on my list. I almost picked it earlier, and I forget what I swapped out instead, but it was one I was probably going to pick in the next couple rounds. I'm glad it got picked.
Yeah, the trans stuff's definitely a highlight of those 3 for me also. United, especially the fight in United, but also just these 3 episodes kind of speak to what the promise of Enterprise was in the beginning. That this is where we're going. We're going to seeing the start of the Federation.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful to see them get to that point. And it's just, this is another set of episodes that really bums me out of why they didn't get a 5th season, because they were going in such an interesting direction there. I wanted to see more of that. I want to see more Tellarites and Andorians, I want to see them argue at a conference table, and
Yeah.
And it's just, so that's a good pick.
True. Thanks. All right, Jen, let's go right into round 9.
Okay, I've only got two picks left.
Two
2
left.
picks left. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna need a minute here because episodes that I want on my, more than 2 must-haves.
No problem.
Yeah.
On my list. Okay.
We will have some undrafted rookies, free agents at the end that you can kind of mention. So if there's some that don't make the cut, you can still kind of shout them out as well.
So you get to throw him some love.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm already a little heavy on personal favorite of mine. I'm taking Bar.
Bar Association.
Yes.
Very cool.
So
Okay.
I'm going, a little bit more on the humorous side again. But I also think it's important. It's saying something important. I just always, I always picture the scene at the beginning where Rom has an ear problem,
Yeah.
but he can't call out of work. And they play it for laughs. It's really funny. He puts the ear medicine right in his ear. But that's a
real.
legit problem that so many people has. It's just, and it's it's a problem then, it's a problem now. Important consideration, and them, I love stories about his ancestor being a Union man and what that means, and and the way they go through it, and the wrong, it really brings out the best in Ron. This issue, you can kind of see what kind of Negus, and you think about how he ends up being the Negus, you could see, the start here of how he would actually be a damn good Negus.
Yeah.
A very different kind of Negus. But that's what they need. They need Rom. Rom, and it's just a personal favorite.
Do we get Brunt in this episode?
I think he is there.
Yeah.
So we just get Jeffrey Combs. The past couple of picks have been Jeffrey Combs.
And he hired Nausicaans to beat up Quark.
Oh,
so
that's
you get
right.
They get that really funny two of the Nausicaans throwing darts at each other.
Yeah.
Background, which is hilarious. So there's a lot of funny stuff too.
Yeah.
It also gets pretty serious, which I like. And Jeffrey Combs again.
Yeah, I like it for the groundwork it lays for Rom. I think between this and even like you were mentioning with Armand Bashir, kind of allowing Rom to be taken a little bit more seriously in these comedic episodes really does start to move us in a direction where he's going to become a more prominent factor as opposed to just a piece of the Quark stories. Like he's got some stuff he can carry on his own. So, good episode.
Alrighty, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been giving Bashir a lot of love. We've been giving O'Brien a lot of love. It's time to give Kira some love. I'm going with Indiscretion.
Okay.
All right.
It's a tough episode, but a lot of my picks, I love the introductions that we get to different characters, and ultimately this is the beginning of Torres Y'all. So I think that just the reveal, you know, it just makes you hate Ducat even more. You know, every time there's another thing that comes to light that he put in motion, it's like, God, you are absolutely the worst. This well one, yeah, it's just this one hurt, but it's still such a good episode. And going back to what Dan said, this run of episodes to start off the season is just
best in Trek, I think.
Yeah. And to leave out that one episode out of that run, I couldn't do it. So
good one. Really good location photography in that too.
Oh, yeah.
I love that desert feels hot in that episode. The way it's shot. Really good. Great Arcolimo, Goldicott stuff, just like you said.
And I think I like the back and forth between Kira and Ducat. Just that whole thing through this whole episode. And it continues for the rest of the show, so I do like it.
And you know, just looking at the broader run, just in this run of episodes, you get so much setup for so many different characters. I mean, you get, you know, Worf obviously with Way of the Warrior. You've got Bashir like really trying to come into his own with Hippocratic Oath. You've got Kira and Zial. You know,
that's huge.
There's just a lot, and then rejoined with that. Like they hit every single character and introduce some like really important stuff in this run that becomes really important later on. So.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago on Trek Live, but I think this demonstrates yet again for sure that run is no joke. That's the DS9 season 4 hits the ground running really darn well.
Agreed. Yeah, and this, I mean, Ducat is terrifyingly cold in this episode.
Yes.
I mean, his whole, this was his plan all along was to kill Zial. Like, it wasn't a spur of the moment, you know what I mean? This was like a cold calculation. I'm going to go execute the proof of my indiscretion, I guess is the title. And I really, it adds weight to later to the Kira Zial relationship to me that she was there, you know, for this to advocate for Zial from the very beginning. And it just makes me, this episode is what makes me so angry when Ducat tries to retcon himself as a you know, and it's just so it just makes me want to, like, you know, I hate the scene. Funny because he like sits on something, and like I hate that because he's not like have those moments of like fun. Awful, you know? But it is funny. It is a funny scene. but yeah, it's a good pick. It's a really interesting way to introduce the characters, I think, you know, just this innocent, especially after what, you know, how her character progressions and then what happens to her.
Yes.
Remembering how she was at the very beginning.
Yeah. Agreed. What do you got, Dan?
So I desperately, one of my needs on my team of episodes is an Enterprise pick. There's no red on that side. So for me, for my 9th round pick, I'm going to go with Home.
Oh.
There's a lot of things that I really do like about this episode. First off, I like the breadth that the show takes. Off the Zindi stuff, we don't really get like that kind of breath, like we get with maybe say Family and TNG. Like some big thing happens and you get like this breath. But I like that we get to go home and kind of, pun intended, kind of explore that. But I also really like and this is kind of a sad truth, that they started sprinkling stuff for season 5, maybe with the Columbia and things like that.
Oh, that's so good.
So what could have been with that, but also I like the Archer stuff. It's almost a reflection of, okay, when we talked about the pilot, he's so gung-ho and so ready to get out there, and he's almost just beaten and battered at this time, and he's saying like, hey, this is no joke going out into kind of space. And so that kind of character development and that character progression I love to see with that character. So yeah, just those kind of 3 major things for me made me take home.
I agree with you. I mean, Archer, I was not a fan of Archer in seasons 1 and 2. I thought he was really arrogant and cocky, and it took me a long time to warm up to that character.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that they did with him in seasons 3 and 4, especially in Home, just that sealed it for me. That was the growth I was looking for in that character, and I'm glad that he was so arrogant and cocky to begin with, because it's a very sobering kind of moment.
He's like a piece of gum. The universe chewed him, took all his flavor out, spit him back out, sent him back. It's just so good.
And this is right after, it's kind of like, Best of Both Worlds. You have this crazy, cliffhanger, and then you get Family. And it's got this very similar setup where you've got, sent back in time with the Nazis in front, and you come back, and now we're home.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is a very jarring whiplash, for the characters as much as it is for us, Yeah. So that's cool. It's almost like Enterprise ended how TNG was trying to really start to kick up things, It's kind of a cool parallel.
I think you put it perfectly, Caleb, with the just, it's sobering, and I think it does like retroactively make some maybe arguably missteps, like depending on, again, your mileage may vary with the way Archer's presented in those first couple of seasons. I think it adds context to some of those creative choices that the show took and Bakula's performance took, and the payoff that you get in Home makes it all worth it, I think, and makes it a more interesting thing to rewatch. So I totally agree. I like all of the storylines here. I love the T'Pol and Trip stuff on Vulcan. Trip's T'Pol's relationship with her mother, I think, is an interesting, underrated component.
The wedding is in this part, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, a lot happens here in this.
That's a big episode.
I love this episode. I was gonna pick this next.
Sorry,
I'm a big
Jen.
fan of this. That's okay. I love when they go back to, in general. But I like you said about how Archer, like, they basically the universe chewed him up and spit him out, and that's why I really like the character of Erica Hernandez, and how she's basically Archer 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And their conversations is a highlight for rock climbing, and how he's working through all this stuff, and he worked through it with her, and she's going out there too, and he doesn't think she understands what she's getting herself into, and she's very similar to him. She does, and I just their dynamic is very interesting. And the Trip into Paul stuff, of course. A shout out to Paul's wedding dress, which is just amazingly gorgeous. All the Vulcan robe. You can see Trip in Vulcan. It's great, and Vulcan itself, the Paul's mother's house. The architecture is great. The architecture, see the volcanic landscape and everything on Vulcan is and we didn't too much on Phlox's experience on Earth, which is you know, which puts it into brings all that stuff closer to home. You know, all the Terra Prime stuff closer to home because it's affecting someone we love. And it kills me, the scene with him and Hoshi and how he doesn't want to go back down to Earth, you know, and he has to
Tough
come back.
territory.
The takeout, and it's so upsetting. That's such an upsetting scene. And honestly, his blowfish face is fabulously done too. But overall, it's just, I just love it so much. It's a really good pick.
I agree. So I'm gonna go with I got one that's been staring me in the face for about 2 rounds now. I'm gonna go with Redemption, the finale.
How has that not gotten picked yet? Good snag.
More payoff to the Worf Klingon mythology stuff that's been, you know, running for a season and a half at this point.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Always somehow it sneaks up on me in part 2, and you know, I think some people can struggle, understandably, with the Denise Crosby return with that character, Stila. But I love how serialized this is at this point. Like you're paying off things from Sins of the Father and Reunion, and Yesterday's Enterprise gets like kind of canonized here as like not just a reboot. Things that there are consequences to things that happened in Yesterday's Enterprise, and you even get like Guinan like kind of half explaining it to Picard and not totally being able to, but giving him enough of an idea that something weird happened. I love how much this episode juggles the big scope of the Klingon Civil War with the Romulans involved, and the Shakespearean quality of the Duras sisters, and like I just love the scope of it all. It's so sprawling and huge. Worf resigning and having that long walk down the corridor with people, like that's the first time we see that sort of motif when somebody's going to leave the ship. It's great. I think it's a really underrated. I think it gets lost in the shadow of Best of Both Worlds a little bit as like the TNG cliffhanger 2-parter that's like really good. I think it's much stronger for me than like Time's Arrow is and Descent is. Maybe not quite to the height of Best of Both Worlds, but really pretty darn good.
Yeah, great pick. I agree.
Cool.
Yeah. And it can tie back to Picard as well. Like this is kind of, So.
Sure.
I'm coming up on it soon, and I'm looking forward to it. So.
Number 1 on the Trek Ranks TNG episodes.
Really?
What?
Yes, this is number 1.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you got, Jen? Round 10.
Last pick.
Okay.
Last round.
Last pick. All right. Give me a second. I've got 2 that I'm trying. My problem is I'm very DS9 heavy.
You are.
So, but it's just DS9 season 4, man.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah,
So
good. So good. All right. All right. I'm gonna do it. Okay. I'm taking DS9 for the which I never get tired of the the Eddington and Cisco. I never get tired of Cassidy Yates and Cisco. I decision to make his girlfriend running supplies to the Maquis. I think that was a bold choice. I think it was an interesting choice. I love the way they handled it. He didn't act like he didn't overreact. I guess I could say, which I appreciated. He obviously wasn't happy about the.
No.
Yeah.
But I love it kept you guessing until till the end the first time. I think it's intriguing. I think the whole thing's intriguing, and I think the payoff of having Eddington be who was someone we saw a lot in the background, and and having I find the Maquis an interesting foe, if you can even call them a foe, an interesting faction,
Yeah.
I guess. And it brings up a lot of questions here, and and if Cassidy Yates was running medical supplies to the Maquis, is that different than what Eddie's doing? Is that and it's just I can watch that over and over again. It's very rewatchable for me, so I'm putting that on my list.
It's a great pick.
Yeah, it's a really good one. It's like you said, it keeps you guessing. If it's been a long time since you watched it and you kind of lost track of where it's going, it can surprise you with some of its twists and turns.
Yeah. Agreed.
A lot of fun ahead of me in this summer.
You really do.
Yes.
Yeah, Caleb, you got a lot of homework, I think. It's been the common thread here.
I rewatch.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a good summer. I mean,
A lot
I'm
of
glad
good
I'm
stuff.
almost in TNG season 4, but be good.
Good. What are you thinking for round 10? Last pick.
All right. Oh, this is hard. There are several of TNG that are staring at me, and I feel like I'm tempted because I'm fresh and in the middle of that rewatch right now. So a lot of those are coming to mind. But I'm actually gonna stick to my guns. I started with a Voyager pick, and then I went all the rest of the rounds without a Voyager pick, and so I'm gonna go with Demon.
Okay, cool.
Okay, all right.
I think it was a conversation I was having with Ross a while back about unofficial two-parters, and I just love just the like high concept of Demon. Like it ends up in a place you totally don't expect it, and to just have the duplicates of everything come back in Course Oblivion, I think that was a really cool storyline. And yeah, I don't know. It's for all the things Voyager is good at. The high concept sci-fi is the part that makes me really enjoy it. I mean, that's the part of the later seasons of Voyager that really like hit it home for me. So Demon was one I gotta have.
Definitely a high concept for sure, and it's got another one with such a big scope, like the landing the ship on the really non-habitable planet, and the stakes of having the ship be really in a dire spot with supplies, and it's another thing that like Voyager sometimes comes in and out of like keeping that on its forefront, like that they're out there alone, and that sometimes they need to resupply and they need to find ways to maybe retrofit other elements or other resources into things that they can use to keep going. And Demon, I appreciate that it takes the time to keep that kind of thread alive in the show.
Yeah, it's cool to see, obviously seeing Voyager on the planet, you get that in Timeless and a couple other episodes. But we were talking, I mean, I think we were all watching one night, we were all doing a night rewatch, right?
Yeah.
And we were just remarking about how, like how crisp the scans were for Paramount Plus for Voyager. And this is one where now I want to go back and watch Demon, because I think Demon would be a really cool one if the scans are nice and crisp, like we think they might be. So yeah, I'm excited when I get to rewatch this one. It'll be a cool experience.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's another one that keeps you guessing too, until you see their body doubles, passed out on. Kind of keeps you guessing, like.
Yeah.
Like why, about what's actually happening, and it's reason behind what's happening here. I appreciated that Jane was like, oh yeah, sure, you can, if everyone agrees, you can have our DNA, and and that, and I appreciate, most of us, based on Course Oblivion, most of us were fine with sharing. And it's just interesting. It's interesting it was interesting to think about the duplicate Voyager crewmen that were there, but I never ever thought that we would get a follow-up to that. Yeah. And then Course Oblivion, which is one of my favorite Voyager episodes, comes out, and it's like, oh wow, a sequel to an episode I ever expect we'd get a sequel to. But it was just such a compelling, high concept idea that they, can come up with another, even better, even more compelling story based on it, which is cool.
Yeah, I think Course Oblivion, one of the things that really gives that some juice is how unserialized Voyager sometimes can be and its reputation.
Yeah.
The last thing you expect when that episode begins is that they're gonna go back to that thing that happened years ago. And it's
wait a minute, they did part 2 to Demon?
Yeah, all that kind of. Yeah.
What?
They hold that bag of tricks until the very end.
Right.
Yeah.
You're all melting, and then you see the puddles, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's true. So true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked a lot about these 2 episodes on Trek Live. Dan's not a huge Course Oblivion fan.
Why do you have to put that out there? Oh man.
I was gonna. It's one of those episodes that is controversial. I think people love it. It's on top of people's lists, and some people, in my experience, talking to people, are not huge on it. But
oh, that's interesting. I like it as another alternate history of the crew people, how they would react in a certain situation. That's something we know and they don't, because they got pretty far too. Which is really interesting. These duplicates were pretty. Had some ingenuity.
Confident. Yeah.
But I could get you maybe not thinking that Demon is the episode that does a sequel, or that you would automatically would lead to a sequel.
Right.
Yeah, we only get 1 dragon's teeth and then 2. I gotta stay positive. Let's stay positive here.
You roll right into your pick.
I will roll right into my. This is the last round, right?
This is it.
The last
Cool.
one.
I'm sticking with Deep Space Nine. I'm sorry if the listeners are getting tired of it, but it's just a testament to this season. But I'm gonna go with Rules of Engagement.
Ooh,
Love that.
Has one of the arguably the best dressing downs of all time in Star Trek. But I'm a sucker for a courtroom drama. My other picks have kind of alluded to that, but I think the guest star, who's the advocate for the Klingon advocate, anytime we get to see a non-typical Klingon warrior type of archetype, I love it. When we see see Klingon scientists, we can see Klingon advocates, obviously, also in Enterprise as well. So when we see that, that's always cool. I think Worf is put in a really tough position. It's if we're talking about if we're relating this to the NFL, a lot of the players say, "Hey, it was a bang bang type of situation." This to me is that type of thing. So if we're kind of seeing it in that light, maybe. But yeah, the dressing down thing for me is really what kind of takes the cake here. I love Sisko just laying it down, just giving it to Worf. So yeah, great episode. But aside the dressing down is obviously badass, but yeah, everything else is good too.
I 100% agree. I love this episode. This is one of my favorite core episodes too, because it's a classic one. They have to, while the courtroom drama is going on, the other crewmates find out what's happening behind. But it's so interesting to see, like Worf, like you said, the dressing down.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, like Worf does have these issues that were and something he has to work through. As Worf, that's class.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, but it's also like what would you? What did he have a point?
See both sides.
Should he have waited?
Yeah.
Which is interesting, and I'm a big fan of just the Vulcan judge.
Yeah.
Who just doesn't give any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about a Klingon lawyer too,
Yeah.
which I really like. I really all those scenes in the courtroom. I really think that's a great episode of Trek.
Yeah, it's a Kirk-esque type of a no-win scenario thing. You can see both sides of it. So, and I love him trying to. I keep forgetting the name of the movie. But Bill.
Few Good Men.
Yeah, Few Good Men. That's what I get from this.
Oh yeah.
The advocate, the Klingon advocate, has to get Worf to emote and to kind of erupt to kind of make his point, which is the same thing in A Few Good Men, which I really love that movie. Tom Cruise and Jack
Kevin
Nichols.
Bacon.
Yeah. So yeah. So all good stuff.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with the point you made about seeing the non-Klingon warrior archetype. The Enterprise episode Judgment, seeing that Klingon attorney too is my favorite thing about that episode. Seeing actually having like discussion about like not every Klingon is a warrior. There's an entire other like sub society of Klingons that do other things.
Yeah.
And we get little hints of it here and there in TNG with the Klingon scientist and like suspicions and a couple Klingon attorneys here and there. But I really like the character here, the dressing down, the courtroom stuff, the Vulcan, everything that's been said. Totally agree. I think really cool, like flashbacky kind of devices too, with having the characters like talk to the camera and during their testimony. Neat directorial choices.
It's breaking the fourth wall.
That's a good point.
Breaking the fourth wall. Yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Is that another one you need to hit, Caleb?
No.
Looking forward to.
Yeah, it's been a while for. Yeah, the back half of that season a little blurry for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'll wrap it up by going with there's a TNG and a Voyager that I'm torn between, but I'm gonna go with the Voyager, which this would be my fourth Voyager. I'm gonna go with Prey. I really love that one. I think that does some really great work for the Janeway 7 relationship. I love it when characters legitimately, kind of like in Hippocratic Oath, genuinely come into conflict and just cannot. They just can't. Janeway and 7 see completely different solutions to this. They cannot and will not agree. Like they're both too proud, too sure of their opinion and the way that they assess the situation to give any ground, and it's just not going to happen in this. And that's another one. Tony Todd is the Herosian hunter, hunting down in 8472. He's got some great scenes in it. But the Janeway 7 showdowns, multiple of them, are what drive this episode pretty high up on my ranks for Voyager. It's kind of an underrated favorite of mine. I love the little run there. Message in a Bottle, Hunters, which we didn't pick, Killing Game, are kind of like a little mini series of Herosian heavy. Like as we're moving through that region of space, having kind of different kinds of encounters and challenges with the Herosian. And the payoff of 8472 with Scorpion and having them still, lurking as a potential threat. I love the urgency of Tuvok in the Jeffries 2 finding the blood of 8472. The way he, calls the bridge and says what it is, and just like the immediate reaction of the bridge crew, like, okay, we got a problem. And really, really great stuff. I think it's a good episode. I'm glad I got it this late.
Yeah, I considered that one too. I really like that episode. I put the Herosian with a 472, 897. I couldn't get it wrong. That mix. I find it interesting because if 7 didn't do what she did, they wouldn't. How would they have gotten out of that situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just another way, like you said, the Janeway 7 stuff, and that's why that stuff is so good, because Janeway's not not that 7 did, you should sentient, but the fact that there's more than one way to see things than the Janeway, of seeing things, and they're back and forth on that. I really, at the because that's the culmination of Seven's first season, and then how they grow, and how Janeway learns to maybe back off a little bit on trying Seven into to her way of thinking of, and it becomes very valuable for that they things in completely different ways. But here it's one of those endings where it's like they did the bad thing. If they didn't, how would they have gotten out of the situation?
Yeah.
Otherwise, and it, because then it's like, well, what would I? Yeah. And I probably would have done what Janeway did, but then I might not have gotten my crew out that day. So who knows? And I always find those endings a little bit more interesting.
Yeah,
I think that's a good underrated pick, I think.
Yeah, I feel like Janeway's instincts are right, and are very in tune with the Starfleet playbook.
Right.
But Seven's experience with 8472 and her ability to disconnect from what the rule book says you should do informs her own outlook.
It's also just interesting to see her just afraid of something. Just it's like, these guys are terrifying. If
seen firsthand what
right.
what it all means.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Prey to kind of wrap it up from Caleb or Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember with season 4, how many times is this the first time where Janeway and Seven kind of butt heads at the end? Because I mean, if Seven only came in at Scorpion, then we're
right.
I imagine a few minutes where they really
do
butt heads
a lot.
They butt heads in smaller moments.
Yeah,
Janeway takes away all her privileges.
Yeah.
At the end of this one.
Right.
Yeah.
They certainly, I think they have some conflict in Year of Hell, I want to say, even though that doesn't that's its own thing. There are fleeting moments, I feel like, in some of those other episodes, but Prey, even in Message in a Bottle, when she shocks that Herosian through without asking permission, she leaps to some, she acts before she asks, and does things that Starfleet wouldn't really condone a few times. But this is on a whole other level, where she pretty much goes rogue and does the opposite of what she knows Janeway would want her to do.
Right. Yeah, I remember really liking this one. I'm due for a rewatch. But yeah, that's the thing that stuck out to me. It's just the beginning of them butting heads and being interesting foils to each other, when it's a very beneficial relationship, obviously, but it's a tough one. It's
Agreed.
It's challenging and rewarding at the same time, and seeing that sewed here, and when we see it again and again in later episodes. So it's good.
Agreed.
Let's real quick, let's just run through, everyone just do their next maybe 2 picks real quick, really quick, and then we'll run through our whole thing.
Yeah, real quick, just look at what's undrafted. If there's anything that stands out to you that you would go to, best of what's left. Anything stand out?
So for me, I really enjoy Revolt from Voyager. It's, to me, it's very effective. The horror of this serial killing hologram. And the contrast between him and it's just very, it works. It works for me.
Okay.
Good guess,
I feel that.
Really
Really
so
I really like that. Just 2 more then. I'm a big fan of Q. It's fun.
All right.
it's fun, and I really Vosh. So I like that one. And then my other sleeper pick that I considered is Suddenly Human, because I cannot convey enough to you fellas what an event it was for me that Chad Allen was going to guest star. He's my age, and always have a spot for suddenly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely makes sense.
I'm old. I'm dating myself.
What about you, Caleb?
All right, there were a couple of jumping out at me. We talked a lot about Worf's arc with reunion and redemption, and so Sons of Moog seems like that was the next logical grab, especially because revisiting, and kind of wrapping up some of the storylines there. Galaxy's Child is one I just watched the other day that it's kind of a slow burn, but I just like Geordi meeting his heroes and then getting his foot stuck in his mouth the whole
And
time.
creeping them out.
Right. But actually, like the way they resolve those issues with each other, I think is really good. And trying to think, there is another on the board here somewhere I was looking at. Whatever. Yeah, I can't. Oh, Half a Life. How did no one pick Half a Life?
Yeah.
Half Life's good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other big one.
That's a good point.
Well.
Yeah. Waxon is really good in that one. She's very brave, and she uses her outspokenness for good instead of.
Yeah.
And for me,
it's poignant and important. What it brings up, and she's great in that.
in some of her episodes, like especially in Deep Space Nine, are hit or miss for me. So I think especially that, it's really strong.
Yeah. But you, Dan?
For me, Data's Day. I like to see day-to-day Star Trek. Like I would love to see the boring stuff of Star Trek. So this to me is just kind of like a day in the life type of thing. I like to see, but toughest cut. This might pain Bill a little bit, but the Sword of Kahless. I really, for some reason, I really do. I keep coming back to this episode. Again, we talked about this in a previous Trek Lab episode, but to me, it's a Klingon opera in 45 minutes. Really over dramatic and kind of over the top, but it's like a drinking song that played over, or a Klingon drinking song that they did in 45 minutes. So.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
I like that. Maybe it changed the way I saw it, for sure. Appreciate the tone of it a little bit more than I did previously.
Because it's like over dramatic and over actiony, I think, if I'm looking at it like objectively. But it's like that's what a Klingon
that's part
opera's
of the
drinking song
the
is.
Deal.
Yeah. So
yeah, for me, quite a few of the ones that have been mentioned. I think Data's Day stands out to me. Half-Life. I like the Mind's Eye, the Nth Degree, a lot of TNG standalone. Brothers, I love the Brent Spiner stuff in Brothers. The Omega Directive is another one that I really like from Voyager. I could have seen myself picking that. She's really good there. Good 7 of 9 stuff, having a kind of religious experience, and I love the Borg. One of my favorite things that the Borg got in Voyager was like they kind of defined that like strive for perfection, like that kind of defines their existence, and I like the Omega Directive's expansion of that. So they're the ones that stand out to me. Yeah, these are the Voyagers too, of course.
No.
I want to add Crossfire.
Which is a fine episode. It's just not a good finale. It's a fine episode though, except for the event that shall not be named.
Yes.
From my beloved trip.
But actually, I saw the other one I was saying. It was Crossfire.
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 Seeing Odo do the most Odo things.
That whole season.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe I missed Crossfire.
Yeah.
Really, really good. That's a classic example of an episode that maybe I didn't love when I was 10, but now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh, that's just real.
Yeah,
like, that's a real thing that happens.
That's good.
That's a for real episode. It's a good one. Yeah. If you're like you mentioned before, Rene Auberjonois, if he's up there for you on the character ranks and one of your favorite actors, Crossfire's bound to work. great one.
I think it was one of my top 5 on track ranks for the Odo episodes. It's
Yeah, so good.
and just even some of the early stuff in that episode where I guess they're getting ready for whatever events happening there. I know Shakar's coming, but like just him, quarreling with Quark, of course. And you get a little bit of everything, all the classic Odo, tropes, I guess. You get a little bit of all of that in that episode.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, maybe one last. I don't know that we need to recap 1 through 5. We've done that a couple of times already. Maybe our 6 through 10, if you have that handy. And if you don't, I have it written down. I've been keeping a little working notepad with all the picks. So Jen, if you would, your 6 through 10 choices.
Okay. 6 through 10, I went Rejoined, Scientific Method, Remember Me, Bar Association, and For the Cause.
Some good run of episodes. What about you, Caleb?
DS9 To the Death for number 6. TNG's The Wounded. My surprise pick, TNG Final Mission, number 8.
Yeah.
Number 9, DS9 Indiscretion, and number 10, back to Voyager for Demon.
Love it.
Nice.
Love the variety on all these lists.
Yes, that's the beauty of the later rounds. But my later round picks kicked off with Voyager, Heavy, 1. That's the episode title, and then I went to Day of Honor. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill. And then I went to Enterprise, Home. Love that episode, and then I stuck to my guns. Testament to Deep Space Nine Season 4. With Hippocratic Oath and Rules of Engagement. So that's my 6
You
10.
You went Hippocratic Oath in 8 and then Home
Dang
in 9.
it. Okay.
Clarities.
Okay.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
That's close.
Absolutely. No, I went with the Quickening, or no, I went with, the Quickening in round 6. Message in a Bottle in 7. The Babel 1 United, the Enar trilogy in
Nice.
Enterprise, Redemption from The Next Generation, round 9, and Prey from Voyager in round 10 as the last pick of the draft. So,
Yeah.
that's going to about do it. Real quick,
Yep.
To sum it all up one last time, thank you both, Jen and Caleb. This behind the
Wonderful
scenes was
guest
a long
host.
night of
Yes.
recording and talking about Star Trek, and we appreciate your time and your effort and your attention for the last few hours, and I just can't thank you enough. Jen,
This is super fun. Thank you.
my pleasure. Where can people find you, Jen?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Edith, and you can find my podcast, Snap Trek, wherever you get your podcasts.
And you should. Snap Trek is awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Snapchat is awesome.
Aw, thanks.
It is. Caleb, what about you?
Appreciate it.
I am on Twitter at Rogue Mogue, ROGUEMOGH.
Cool.
It's a great handle, by the way.
It is one of the best. You both have great handles.
Yes.
Thanks.
You both have two of the absolute best that you're going to find on Star Trek Twitter, for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks to anybody watching out there on the internet. If you happen to find it on YouTube, on a podcast feed, we are very thankful for any time that you spend consuming Trek Live content. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter. You can find me at TrekFan4387, Dan at Trek Live, and we have a Discord server. If you're interested in joining Discord, we can get you on board. Send me a DM on Twitter. I can get you all the credentials and get you signed up for that. So have a good one, everybody. Live long and prosper, and see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.